one. I was just thinking that it
branded. So it's like a play on the revolution will not be televised, but it will be branded for surely. So here's our agenda. We're gonna start with a little bit of an introduction about ourselves, personally introductions, and then also introduction of the organization we're representing, which is Defund School Police SD. Then we're gonna get into some information about branding, which is gonna be the bulk of the presentation. Then we're gonna talk about media coverage and how grassroots organizations can get media coverage, and then once they do, some practices they should uphold when like communicating with the media. And then lastly, a few tools on how you can implement some project management. And interspersed throughout, we're going to be giving some mini tutorials on how to use some of the programs that we're talking about. And then lastly, as Nadia said, we're going to end off with, a little thank you and a Q&A.
All right, so just so that we can introduce ourselves again, one more time, my name is Untitled. My pronouns are she, her, hers. To acknowledge the stolen land that I'm on Kumeyaay land. And to just give you guys a fact about me, my favorite revolutionary figure who is a female is Fannie Lou Hamer. So yeah.
And then my name is, sorry, Anissa. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Hi, my name is Anissa Mohammed. My pronouns are she and her. As to recognize the stolen land that I am, I'm on the Kumeyaay land as well. And my favorite woman revolutionist is Angela Davis. I'll pass it on to India.
Again, I'm so sorry, Anissa. That was mad rude.
Okay.
My name is India, and my pronouns are also she, her. I am currently residing on the stolen Tongva land, and my favorite revolutionary figure has to be Assata Shakur.
All right, and so we also want to get to know you guys in this space. If you guys want to go ahead and put in the chat your name, pronouns, the land that you're on, and your favorite female revolutionary as well, that'd be great. Or actually not female, women revolutionary, but with the X, because we're being inclusive of those who are of the binary and of the non-binary as well. But if you guys would like to just say it out loud too, you guys have the space to do so as well. So just go ahead and do it.
Also, we saw a lot of y'all have your pronouns in your names on Zoom. And if you don't have that already, you can, by your name, there, when you hover over your face, there should be 3 dots which allow you to rename yourself, and you can add your pronouns in there as well, so folks can continuously call you by the proper pronouns. Okay. Hi, Maria.
Nice to meet you, Maria.
Yeah, we love Dolores Puerta. Her.
Don't be too shy now, guys. Come on.
We'd love to meet you all as we enter into this space together. Okay. So let's just give it a few more seconds if folks want to write in the chat, or again, you can unmute yourself.
Can we say it?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Hi, my name is Boney. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm on Kumeyaay land. My favorite woman X, like figure would be called. Sorry, her Clavet Colvin, who was also she kind of did the same thing as Rosa Parks, but before her in her time. And she didn't get as much, I guess, like flower and recognition for what she did.
Amazing. So nice to meet you, Bonnie.
Hello. Nice to meet you guys on the chat as well.
Yes. They're rolling, and I feel like y'all are all typing at the same time, and then they
for real. Hey Taylor, hey Irma, hey Sydney, hey Kimani, Matrisa, Alba, Angelina, Janelle, Binti. Those are just to name a few. I'm sorry if I didn't get to yours. I apologize. Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, as those keep coming in, we could just go ahead and move forth.
Yeah. Okay, so this next slide is something that we like to do at Defund School Police SD, and it's an affirmation of who we are in the space. So basically how it works is I say, who are we in this space? And then I begin to read different nouns and verbs and like purpose that we're holding in this space. And as I do that, again, y'all gonna find out we really love to interact with y'all. So you can unmute yourself and like say other things and purposes that we hold in the space. And you can also type it in the chat and I'll read them. But like, who are we in this space? In this space, we are prison abolitionists, we are liberators, activists, we're students, revolutionaries, we are freedom fighters, we are Black queens, we are radicals, visionaries,
our liberators, we are wild
allies, we're strong. We are
and you guys don't be afraid to just go ahead and just go over us, call out. If it like backlashes or anything with the sound, don't even worry. We just want to be able to cultivate community within this virtual space. So we want to be able to speak over each other. So if I say present and India saying smart over here, like it doesn't matter if those sounds clash. We just want you guys to be able to speak with us.
Yes, our voices are more beautiful when they're combined. And so in that space, we are our ancestors' wildest dreams. We are educators.
We are vanguards. We are
artists. We are prison abolitionists. We are
students,
visionaries.
We are fighters. We are Black
focused. We are not.
We are organizers.
Fighters. We are liberators. We are students. We are
creative.
Focused.
Leaders.
Black queens. We are visionaries.
We are vigilantes. We are
activists.
Wildest dreams.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Loves to hear it. We're gonna hear some more voices by the end of this because your voices are beautiful. I just need you to know that your voices are beautiful.
Period.
Okay. So next we'd like to introduce our organization and get into our oral history. Naidu, do you want to take that?
No. Sorry, I was just gonna like introduce it for you to start it, but my bad. I'm so sorry.
It's all good. So just like a brief oral history of the grassroots organization that we are representing today, which is Defund School Police SD. We were founded in San Diego, or actually earlier this year in June, after we kind of had like a little bit of an altercation with the administration at the largest the largest in San Diego, the largest school district in San Diego, second largest in California, which is San Diego Unified School District. And basically in response to the uprisings in the name of Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, etc., they kind of created statements and were seeking to kind of address the fact that there were vast racial disparities in the policing within the school district. And so they were trying to get like me and a few other folks that were in the district at the time or had just recently graduated to facilitate a district workshop where we would kind of discuss, not really discuss, we would actually bring student voices in to basically have them speak about their experiences with San Diego Unified School District Police Department. And so we kind of retaliated against that, that idea from the administration because it seemed like it was very much top down and it wasn't actually seeking to have student voices heard in meaningful ways and to actually address the issues that students brought up. So we as mostly students who had previously been in San Diego Unified School District organized together on grassroots level, actually through Instagram, to get this movement started to say that we don't want to just say whatever it is that you want to hear. We want to say what we have to say. And that is that the school police needs to be completely defunded. Nadia, do you want to take it away for the next part?
Yeah, so with that being said, we were able to organize through the Instagram chat. We were on calls for at least, I want to say like for hours up until the protest, but it wasn't like hours in which we're draining and you're just like, I don't want to be here anymore. This is that next. It was hours where we were able to really create a community space, a safe space at that, where we're able to all, talk about our troubles and talk about our plights within the San Diego Unified School District. And just kind of use that as the fuel to the fire for our protest and for our initiative and for our movement. But since then, we believe that it's important to be you know, very transparent with you guys, because vulnerability is the way that we could really get us all to connect the best way possible. So Defund School PD has been a little stagnant recently, and we haven't really been doing much. And you know, a lot of people are always emailing us like, "Hey, when's the next, you know, demonstration, or when's the next town hall?" And with that being said, we just wanted to basically say throughout this presentation, it may be a little intimidating to see all the work that we were able to do, and you know, you might be in that space where you're just like, "Dang, I don't know if I could do all of this, and I don't know if I could actually, you know, amount to the level that they did." We just want to say that, you know, it's okay to be stagnant. It's okay to start off slow. It's okay to start off fast and then go slow. It's definitely okay, because self-care is revolutionary at the end of the day. And that's what a lot of our organizers are doing. A lot of us started school already. And so we just want to make sure that you guys know that, you know, Defund School PD, although they were at this level before, we're not there now, but we will get back there eventually. But we just want to make sure that you guys don't look at it as, you know, I'm supposed to be on 100% every single day. That's not realistic. It's not realistic in school. It's not realistic at work. It's not realistic in life. And it's not realistic in grassroots programs. So that's what we just wanted to get you guys to realize. And that is part of our history. And that within itself is revolutionary, that you're being able to acknowledge that. So yeah.
Absolutely. One of my favorite quotes from an organizer that we worked with heavily throughout the process of working with Defund School Police SD and our media trainings and our trainings about research is that we should never feel the pressure to move at the pace of white supremacy, because that's just not going to happen. And so as we work through these issues and we seek to dismantle our oppression, we have to recognize that we must be realistic and pay attention to the physical needs that we each have within our own bodies, and as an organization and as a community, engaging in both self-care and community care. So without further ado, I think our next slide is our mission and vision. And Anissa, do you want to take that?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we're going to read the mission and vision statement for our Defund School Police. We will take action against state violence and colonization that exists within San Diego public schools by demanding that they end the contract with school police. The fight may not be fast or easy, but it will be strategic and powerful. And that is our mission statement for Defund School Police, as well as these are our demands. Our first demand is that San Diego Unified School District, as well as Sweetwater Unified School District, diverse completely from San Diego Police and Sweetwater Police as well. Our second demand is reallocating funds to school-based social workers, psychologists, restorative justice practitioners, or other mental or behavioral health professionals. And I'll pass it on to India or whoever wants to read the next one.
Number 3 is that we require that teachers take conflict resolution and cultural sensitivity training. 4, that we hire more Black, Indigenous, and teachers of color. Nadu, do you want to take the last 2?
Yeah, and for 5, it's create a community-driven process for completing a revised district safety plan. And 6 is San Diego Unified School District and Sweetwater Unified School District adopt student-driven ethnic studies, a high school grad requirement, my bad.
I had a quick question about the demand.
Yeah, of course.
I was just wondering how you guys came to like those specific demands, and I know there's like so many more that you guys could have chose from, but like why specifically those?
If you want to go back to the slide really quick, sorry. You take it away. Sorry, I just wanted to let people follow along while they looked at it. Oh, I don't know.
I can. I just.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I don't know if you want to take it away. I can take it away.
Yeah. No, so as an organization, we kind of worked within like the early like stages of the planning to like we just like workshopped with the organizers, which were all either students at SUSD or SUH, Sweetwater Union High School District, or former students within those districts, and we just came up with some key goals that we wanted to accomplish as an organization. With our most immediate or our most like overarching goal, of course, being to defund school police. But yeah, they were just like kind of a list of demands that we felt were in alignment with decolonizing the school system.
Yeah, I agree completely. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I agree completely with India. Like we shared our personal experiences with school and how we dealt with like history and stuff like that. So then we wanted to put these demands on what we wanted school to look like for us people of color students. And then so we came up with these demands as well as overall defunding school police. And we have many more to come, but these were just the few things that we wanted to see personally in San Diego Unified School District as well as Sweetwater School District.
Yeah, and to basically just to add on to that, we do have some more demands as well. We did make demands as it pertains to basically the school system in the age of COVID-19. So trying to make school more equitable in the sense of, providing to students that are low income and students who do not have the resources to be able to survive in the current educational requirements that are required within each of these districts. And those are in ties to defunding school police, as we would like to use those funds to be able to expand on more programs that could help students of color. But those are just like our demands, like straightforward as a whole of the organization. But like you said, Bonnie, there are many more to choose from. Those are just the ones that we thought were, the most adamant and the most that can be done for the present moment, basically. So yeah, hope that answers your question. Okay, awesome.
Thanks for your question, Bonnie. And yeah, of course, feel free to ask questions. And also, if you want to in the chat, either like DM any of us privately, we could also answer the questions at the end if you think of one and might forget it by the end. Okay, so this is like one of the first portions of our training, and it's Branding 101. And I want to emphasize that branding is really just how we tell the story of our organization, of our movement visually. So our story usually consists of 3 portions. One, which is branding and brand positioning, which is how your movement is different from other movements, which may be working towards a similar cause or the same cause. 2, the brand personality, which is a set of human characteristics that are attributed to a brand name. And then 3 is the target audience, like what demographic do you hope to reach with the movement or with your organization? So our brand positioning as Defund School Police SD is very specific within the niche of like defunding school police, because there was already existing organizations within San Diego who were seeking to defund police at large. And so we did end up collaborating with them and a lot of different organizations whose missions weren't specifically to defund police, but were in alignment with that goal. We also collaborated with, but our positioning as Defund School Police was to defund school police. And then secondly, our brand personality, in alignment with the fact that we are a grassroots organization founded by youth. Some of the personality characteristics of our organization were youthfulness. We also embraced the grassroots aspect of it, in that we wanted our work to look very organic. And we also embrace joy. As you can see, our picture of Nidawid smiling at our protest. We wanted to embrace youthfulness, joy, and this sense of organic organizing. And then lastly, our target audience, as we're trying to defund school police, were parents, students, and educators, which we hope to reach with the specific ways that we're speaking, and with the organizers that we use, which were all stakeholders within the education system. So one of the first things that we developed, or I developed when we were thinking about the branding strategy for Defund School Police SD, was our logo. And so there are 6 major logo types that you can basically categorize any logo that you see into one of these 6 or a combination of multiple of them. So the first one is a letter mark, which is also known as like a monogram. It's basically just like, like an acronym for whatever the organization's name is. So like my example here is HBO, which is home box office. Our second type of logo is a word mark, which is basically a spell out of the organization's name. RIP Vine, but it's still a good example of what a word mark looks like. Our third one is a pictorial, which this is the Twitter logo. And pictorial is just an image that is associated with like the name of the organization, which is differentiated from an abstract logo, which is similarly an icon, but it is abstract. So it doesn't necessarily relate directly to the name of the company. So here we have the Adidas logo, which is a trefoil, but Adidas doesn't necessarily, like it's not necessarily directly correlated like tweet is related to a bird. Does that make sense to folks? If it doesn't make sense, you can also unmute yourself and say it doesn't. But okay, so moving on, we have our combo mark, which is a mix between a pictorial mark and a word mark. And here we have the Burger King logo, which is like a burger with the patty being the words Burger King. And then lastly is an emblematic logo, which an example of that would be like a crest for a university would be an emblematic logo, or here we have Starbucks as an emblematic logo. And I can't see the chat, but let me check the chat right quick because I saw y'all go in. Oh, okay. Yep, HBO. Okay, our next. What would be the difference between a pictorial and an emblem? So the pictorial, the emblematic logo that I chose here isn't quite exactly like, it's not like the epitome of what it is, but usually like because there's the word Starbucks around it, that would make it into more of an emblem. I think it also has to do with like the symmetry within the logo makes it an emblematic logo. Thank you for your question. Okay, next slide. Oh, okay. And so here we're going to talk about our logo evolution as Defund School Police SD. So originally, like the way that we kind of described is that we were moving very quickly in our organizing. And so the original logo for Defund School Police SD was get cops out of SDUSD schools. But as we began to organize and we began to get members from different school districts within San Diego, the point was brought up that we don't only want to defund SDUSD, San Diego Unified School District, which is the biggest school district in San Diego, but we want to get cops out of all San Diego schools. And so in alignment with those goals as an organization, we decided to change our logo from get cops out of SDUSD schools to get cops out of San Diego schools. And so that, it wasn't a super large change, but within your movement, it's important to know that your branding needs to be as flexible as your strategic organizing is. And so as you change your mission and your alignment, you can change your logo or any other aspect of your branding, obviously knowing that that's a kind of a big decision to make and that you shouldn't be changing it all the time. But this is just an example of something that you can do as your movement evolves. And so here is our present logo. And the vision inspiration behind this word mark and emblematic logo type is that it is designed to quickly and easily communicate both our immediate and future goals as an organization. So of course, our immediate goal is to get cops out of San Diego schools, but a larger goal in alignment with our stance on police and prisons is to defund police as a whole. Since we are police abolitionists, that I thought that was a good point for us to communicate within our logo. And it also helps us connect to other organizations who are similarly aligned in defunding police, but not necessarily focused on school police. So here are 4 main components of branding. The first of which is colors. And so the purpose of colors within your branding strategy are to convey emotions surrounding your brand. They can also act as symbols. As we might know, certain colors evoke certain emotions. So like yellow may communicate happiness and red might communicate love or passion. And then typography is also another main component of branding, which it helps create brand recognition. So like the fonts that you use are very like noticeable or recognizable. And then the next component would be graphics, which are like signature graphics help to establish pictorial recognition alongside your logo. So the images that we use throughout Defund School Police SD, hopefully if we're doing our job correctly, are very recognizable in association with our brand. And then lastly, of course, is the messaging, which this is probably like the most important, even beyond what everything looks like. You want to be able to communicate a strong message about what your organization is doing. And so messaging is the way that your organization speaks, and it's also not only what you say, but how you say it. So getting into our color palette. So the Defund School Police SD color palette was inspired largely by the Pan-Africanist color scheme and the UNIA, which they don't include yellow. It's only red, black, and green, but we want to add yellow in there because look cute for our little youthful vibe. And so within the Pan-Africanist color scheme, red represents the blood shared by the African diaspora, and it also represents the blood shed for our collective liberation, and then green represents the wealth of our community. So as I said before, colors can represent different values or emotions that you want to communicate through your organizing. And so a really good tool to quickly and easily create a color palette is called Coolers. So it's this website called coolers.co, and I'll give you a little tutorial right now if I can escape this presentation. And so basically what you do with this tool is it starts you off with a basic color palette, and then you press the space bar on your computer and it'll give you new colors to work with. And then if you like one, you can press it to save it, to lock it, and then continue to change ones. If you find something else you like, you lock it as well, and then it'll only change the ones that you're missing. And then at the end, you can export as a PDF, for example, and give it a title, California Women Rising. And then when you open it up, it'll give you the hex codes and the RBG code, CMYK code, which these are all ways that you can enter a color by its numerical data. I don't know if this is probably like, y'all probably like, okay, girl, next, because they're just colors. But they're helpful if you're working on branding and you want a very specific color. So when you go into something like Canva, you can find exactly the color that you're looking for. So what I'm gonna have y'all do for a little interactive portion is if we can get y'all to split up into your breakout rooms. And then within your breakout rooms, you'll come up with 3 emotions that you would like to communicate as an organization, a fictitious organization. You don't have to be from the same place, of course. And 3 emotions that you would like to communicate, and create a color palette based on those 3 emotions. So one person within the group would just go to coolers.co, and I will drop that link in the chat. So can we get them to split into groups, host?
Yeah, I'm gonna open up the breakout rooms for about 15 minutes.
Oh, I don't think we need 15 minutes. I think we can do a little bit less than that just for this. This is a quick activity. Maybe we can give like 5.
Copy that, 5 minutes.
Also, drop the link now because I don't think they'll be able to access it later when they're in breakout rooms.
Okay.
Also, Demetrius, I think that's how you pronounce her name. In the chat said that if you could repeat what you just said because he was kicked out earlier, or she. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry. So what basically we're gonna do is split into breakout rooms, and we're gonna create a color palette using this website, Coolers, which is pretty intuitive. All you have to do is press a space bar and it'll change the colors for you. And if you like a color, all you have to do to save it as part of your color palette is press the lock button. Then you can continue to press the space bar. It'll change every color except the ones that you locked. And within the breakout rooms, you're just gonna identify 3 emotions that you would like to convey through your fictitious organization with your teammates or your breakout roommates. And then you will come back after you've created your little color palette. Yeah.
Okay, I'm opening the breakout rooms for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much.
India, really quick, can you go through, go down to the slides that I'd be covering? Because I opened up the Canva and it looks a little different.
Yeah, I enjoyed using coolers. You can obviously for sure like go back to it whenever you feel. I was telling the folks in the main room when y'all left, I just be using it whenever like I don't have nothing to put a color scheme for, and I just be making them. So I hope y'all don't get addicted like me. But we'll move on to our typography.
India's a beauty girl.
So here's our section about typography. So there basically are 4 main types of fonts. That's serifs. And the most popular serif that you'll probably have seen before is Times New Roman, and it basically just is these little like flourishes on the ends of the letters. And then there's a sans serif, which basically just means no serifs. So you can see like where this S has this at the end, this one does not. Then there's a script, which is basically any type of cursive font. And lastly, decorative, which is the most expansive font. And it's just basically anything that's not any of those other 3. It's just like the fonts that are kind of like this or just look a bit more unique. And so the reason why it's kind of important to know the different types of fonts is because we always want to implement type hierarchy within good design. So basically that means like kind of like how this is set up. There's like one big font, then there's a sub font, and then there's the type that you use for the main body paragraph. So the biggest font is kind of the most important message that you have, and it's kind of the hierarchy is structured as like, if you didn't read anything else, at least read this. So the title, you want them to make sure that they read the title. Maybe that'll get them to read the rest of it. And if not, at least they read the title. Then the subheading, of course, that's the next most important thing you want to communicate. And then they might not read the entire body text, but at least they got, the top 2 messages you're trying to send. And so one tip when trying to figure out what the type hierarchy can look like, because you're not always going to use the same font style, which this is not the same font as this, but these are the same. One tip that you could implement is that some fonts come with multiple variations, such as a thin, bold, caps, or italicized version, which may be suggestions from the Foundry, which is the people who made the font, on how you should be using it. So maybe there's one version of the font that's bold, and then the next version is regular, and then the next version is like italicized or thin, and that tells you like in what order they should go if you're using all one font. And this might make a little more sense if I in the Canva like tutorial. So then after typography, and the next important thing that you can focus on when you're doing your branding is the signature graphics and photo effects. So as you have seen throughout this presentation, Defense School Police SD uses a lot of duotones, which is like this 2-color photo thing. And that kind of like is a commonality with all of our Instagram posts, which we'll go to our Instagram in a little bit. And some of the graphics that we use are made out of words. So like this signature graphic, we use the R twice and like make some of the letters different sizes. And then also the opening graphic on the first slide was made in a similar way, just as part of our branding overall. And so here are a few different ways within Canva itself that you can make photos look different. And so, as I said, duotone, that's what Defund School Police SD uses. And then Lino, which is the ACLU uses this a lot for their images. Sangria, which I haven't seen major organizations use this, but it's just another way to make your images look more fun. Calico, the ACLU also uses that. This kind of like VHS style could be used to make it your image look vintage or whatnot. And then this is also kind of similar to like a combination between Lino and Calico, or so Lino and the VHS style. Some other ways that you can incorporate graphics into your work is with word motifs, which this is like it looks kind of like it's a pattern, but it just says defund police like a whole bunch of times to make it look like it was intentionally made that way, and that allows us to not only communicate whatever text we have, the main text of like a flyer or something, we can also have text within the background that communicates another overall message. And then, as I said, word art is something that Defund School Police SD uses a lot, and it lets you turn like the text of your design into a multifunctional design aspect. And it's also a good option if you want to like make some type of design piece, but you also want to conserve space, so you don't have to make a design and then also add words. And then lastly, we use a lot of gradients and transparent graphics, like this cutout of this boy, and then the background is a gradient, but you can't really tell. And so one of the last pieces of branding is messaging. So messaging is a key tool for your overall campaign and strategy. It's essentially how you as an organization communicate to the world, and what you say and how you say it. So maybe we as Defund School Police SD wouldn't say something exactly the same as, I'll use the ACLU again. Like we wouldn't say something exactly the same as the ACLU because they are a more nationwide organization. So they're going to try to appeal more broadly than we might, because we're based within San Diego and our focus is on San Diego. And also that we're youth. So like we might say something using slang because it's on brand for Defund School Police SD, whereas the ACLU couldn't necessarily do that because they are regarded as, a more major organization, and they're not with a youth focus, and their audience is larger than just youth. And so key messaging decisions, like how to say a specific like sentence or how to announce something, should be made collectively as they represent the entire organization holistically. And every time you put forth a message, you should always think, be it through a social media campaign or a caption or a private DM or even like a press statement that you're making publicly, it should always uphold the integrity of your mission and vision statements as an organization. So you should never say something that is of course, not in direct conflict with your mission, but also anything that doesn't clearly agree with the mission and vision that you're proposing. So, for example, we as an organization, something in alignment with our branding is that like if we're ever gonna like, for example, write the word women in a text, we're always gonna use the word X in alignment with our mission statement that tends towards decolonization. So like we're not gonna colonize as we're purporting to be people who are hoping to decolonize the education system. That's just like a small example. I don't know. That was the best example, but we're working with it. And so the next portion of this that I was hoping to do with y'all is our social media analysis, which we're just going to look at our social media, and I'm going to point out a few of the posts that I think kind of represent a few different aspects of what we do as an organization. So here is one of our kind of types of posts where we're kind of making an announcement to our larger social media following to sign our petition. This was like the first thing that we did as an organization, was create this petition and begin to plan our protest. So this is like a call to action, an example of a way you can put out a call to action on your social media. And we've directed people to sign the link in our bio with our link tree. Another example of a different type of post is this. So this was kind of an interesting post that we made as we were beginning out our organizing. We had initially publicized that we were having an open general meeting for anyone within San Diego that wanted to be a part of Defund School Police SD. But after consulting with different organizations and discussing amongst our organizers, we realized that it probably wasn't a great idea for us to have the meeting open to the public. And so in order to pivot from that original statement, we posted a new graphic saying that the meeting was no longer public and that we would only be admitting trusted allies and students, educators, etc. So that's an example of a way that you can like kind of do some damage control with social media. Then here is one of our like top performing posts, which was an interview that we did with, I want to say CBS 8, which Nadia will be talking further about how we got those contacts with the media. But we just reposted some media coverage that we were already getting. So cross promotion is always a really good idea. When you're a grassroots organization, you always want to tell people all the places that you're being mentioned. And lastly, something that we used kind of to communicate our personality as an organization was this post, which we took a video while we were creating posters for our upcoming protest. And the caption, if you didn't get to see it, says, "This is the type of Black joy we should get to experience daily." So it was a different method of messaging. We were basically kind of describing sorry, that was mad loud. We were describing how Black students should constantly get to experience joy within their schools, but because of the presence of police in schools, we don't get to experience that type of joy within the context of school. Okay, so those are all the posts that I want to show y'all. Does anyone have any questions or things that they want me to go back to in terms of the branding portion of this before we move into the media?
Getting some no's in the chat per. So I think we'll take that as everyone's really good to go.
Yeah.
Okay, we good. Per period. The video is so adorable. Thank you.
Love to see it.
So I'm gonna thank you to India for that wonderful portion for branding. I appreciate that. I appreciate that more than you know. So basically I'm going to be taking over this section, which is basically just going to be about media, but also just about developing a communications team and so on and so forth. So what's that called? So basically when you're in an organization, a grassroots organization, and you're gaining a lot of steam, just like Defund School PD has, you're going to be reached out by media and by just a whole bunch of different outlets who really just want to get your core message, who really just want to spread your message along. Sometimes their intentions may be malicious if they're not leaning in favor of your cause, but most times you're going to get media who really want to see what your movement's all about, especially if you are youth. A lot of media love to see youth. They love to see youth doing, being out there, being active, and making changes in their community. And so as Defund School PD started to gain speed, we were getting like plummeted with a whole bunch of DMs, emails, texts, all of that stuff. I mean, India was getting like gray hairs because of all of this stuff. And it was just constantly, every single day, it was always something new. So we realized that we had to develop a communications team. As time went on, our teams kind of just like, they kind of dissolved, and we kind of just worked under one umbrella of just like Defund School PD, and we all kind of just collaborated on things together. But in the beginning of it, we knew we had to develop a communications team to basically get our message across. So just to read what the slide said, a group of core organizers who are abreast of your organizing strategy, upcoming events, calls to action, should be media prepped, ready to speak to the press about the current issues surrounding your advocacy topic and the way your org fits into larger movement. So in one of the posts that India had showed you on the Instagram where we were interviewed by CBS 8, it was a group of 5 of us. And we had been media prepped. We had all basically gone through multiple topics of, how are we able to pivot if they ask us questions that aren't directly related to our cause, and so on and so forth. But I'll get into that later. But basically, we were part of the group of the core organizers of Defund School PDSD, and we were able to get our messages across as best as we could through the training that we were able to get, that I'll be telling you guys about in the next slide. So. All right, so one of the first things that we did was we created a contact media list. So a lot of times reporters and news stations and news outlets will email you, they'll text you, they'll find any way to contact you. And oftentimes you lose that contact information, and or sometimes you don't even lose it, you just forget to respond to them. So what Defund School PD started doing was we created a Google spreadsheet that was able to archive every single contact that we had gotten from media. And so this helped us a lot when we made our press release, because rather than having to go back and, type in a new email, try to find a new person, or having to go to news sites to be able to like find out what their emails or numbers were, we were able to just refer to this list, find out who was for us, find out who is against us. And by for and against, what I mean is, if your movement is seen as radical per se, I would say that Defund School PD is seen as a radical group because of the fact that we are trying to defund police and get them out of our schools. But with the core meaning of abolishing the system at the end of the day. So we would be seen as radical. So getting like a media contact, we have media contacts for Fox on there, but if we were having a protest, we most likely wouldn't want Fox to come to our protest, because they could flip the script into their right-wing leaning perspective, and basically make our movement look malicious, or look like we have malicious intent, when all actuality we're just out there protesting for our lives and protesting for the fact that we deserve equitable education and the fact that we deserve safety within our schools. So you have to boo Fox. But we have to be able to you have to be able to figure out who's for you, who's against you, and who will get your message out the best that you can. With movements like this, you want to be able to communicate your not everybody. First, let me just backtrack a little bit. Not everyone is on social media. The bulk of our organizing, the bulk of our media, like the bulk of our news about our events and so on and so forth are through social media, Instagram in particular. But since parents are part of our main group of people we're trying to reach out to and like tell about our events and tell about our cause, a lot of them aren't on Instagram. A lot of them are usually just perusing through the app for no reason. Sometimes they're spying on their kids, who knows, that's their business, not mine. But a lot of times they're not on there. And so to be able to get our message across, you do need media, because a lot of older people do watch the news. A lot of people will get the message out through news stations. So it's important to make sure you have a media contact list, have people who are willing to put your message out there and put your main point across. So to read what's on this slide: creating a directory of area-specific reporters at your local news stations, magazines, papers can help you easily tap into media when necessary. You should list the reporter's name, beat or subject area, email, phone number, and publication. So those are all the components we have on our list. It honestly, like Google Sheets is like a savior. It really allows you to put in all this information easily. You can make tabs as you want and as you go. Again, this will be available to you guys, and we'll share this link with you guys later. So if you guys want to go back to it and you want to start creating your media list, just refer back to this slide and you'll be able to do so. So yeah, go to the next one. All right, and next is about press release statements. So in order to get media to come, you have to write a press release. And with Defund School PD, that was my first time ever writing a press release. Since then, I've written about like 5. They're honestly pretty simple, not too hard. It looks a little intimidating at first because you're like, dang, I gotta write a whole essay. Like, what is this all about? I thought I was in a grassroots organization. I did not think I was in English class, but it's honestly really easy. As you can see, we have our Defund School PD emblem up there, or logo, emblem, logo, whatever you'd like to call it. And a press release is an official statement delivered to members of the news media for the purpose of providing information, an official statement, or making an announcement. So a lot of times, if you are at protest, sometimes the media won't be able to talk to you, or because maybe you're too busy doing stuff, maybe you're running around like a chicken without their head. And so the press release is what they'll refer back to. It has your main points, it has your organization logo, it has the immediate release date, it has the organization contact info if they cannot get in contact with you at the site of the demonstration. It has your headline, which your headline is usually relates to your top line message, which I'll go into. Top line messages are what you say during actual media interviews. It also has your intro paragraph, which tells the media about everything that you're basically planning to do. It's a 2 to 3 detail paragraphs. Most times it really shouldn't go over a page. If it must go over a page, I'd say, just try to shrink it down as much as you can, because the media is not trying to read like pages among pages of information. They're really just trying to get the main point across. Why do I have to go out there? Why do I have to get my boys to drive out there with the camera? Why do we have to see why do we have to see what's going on? Like, what is this all about? And so you really just want to simplify it as much as you can. And it should have a boilerplate. And so basically, you have your contact info on there, your phone number, your email. And for Defund School PD, I like, just to give like a little anecdote of like why press releases are so important. I remember a reporter actually came up to me and basically was asking for India in particular at our protest. And then she was too busy to be able to get to him, and he didn't want to talk to anybody else. And he was just basically just like, I'll just refer back to the press release, whatever. And so that's the most important part that you should, that's why they're so important. They'll refer back to the press release if they cannot get in contact with the person they're trying to get in contact with, or if they cannot talk to anybody at the actual demonstration site. Yeah, that's all I have for it. But if Anissa or India, I feel like I simplified it a little bit too much, but if you guys have anything to add on to press releases, that'd be good.
No, I'm pretty sure you covered everything. Yeah.
So
Yeah, just to reiterate, like basically what you said is that like this is your announcement to the press of whatever you want them to write a story about. Like Nedwith said, the reporter is going to constantly refer back to this. And this is also probably what they're going to end up giving their editor when they're deciding whether or not they're going to be covering a story. So like if they give this to their editor and their editor doesn't find it compelling, they might not send out reporters to your event. But obviously still, I mean, it's not like that sounds like hella pressure, but like, but yeah, that's basically what this is you telling the press what you're about to do.
Exactly. And then also just one more note before we go on to the next slide. If you are writing a press release and you are doing a demonstration, but for safety purposes, you do not want to send out the location at that moment, you totally can write in the press release that we're not going to be sending out the location now, but follow us on our social media or contact us within 2 to 3 days, and we'll be able to tell you where that location will be at. They'll totally follow through. I believe in our press release, we didn't tell them where the protest was going to be at, but we told them to refer to our social media instead. And I mean, lo and behold, we still got a lot of them out there. Where press release usually posted? Instagram, website? So press releases are usually just emailed straight to the news broadcasting stations themselves. We didn't post our press release. No, yeah, we didn't post our press release. We just sent that straight to the broadcasting news sites themselves. With this is great information. You're welcome. But we just sent it to them straight to themselves. By access or by means of the Google Doc where we had all their contact info, which is, again, you could refer back to it once you're able to get this link to this presentation.
Alternatively, there's also, if you have, some news organizations have event calendars on their websites. So like community members can enter events into the event calendar in advance, and then that will go on to the organization's larger calendar, which will allow anybody who reads that publication to like know when it is and where they can attend. This, like for this example, like it wasn't really that type of event, but like if you were having like a town hall as an organization, maybe you could put that on like the news event calendar. But yeah, so yeah, as Ned said, you typically send these out specifically to people directly.
All right, and then so there is prepping to speak to media. As you can see, this is a picture of me and my girl Jaslyn. She's also part of Defund School PD, and we were interviewed at the site of our demonstration. And then this is a screen grab. The one down below it is a screen grab from our CBS 8 interview, which was with me, India, and a couple other organizers who were prepped to speak to media specifically for that event as well. So to read the slide, the world of mass media is often controlled by conservative political and economic actors, which means that movements support radical or leftist agendas can tend to be demonized and miscontextualized, especially by overtly conservative media. That's why it is essential for your team that your team has been media prepped. Again, we didn't run into any like, by the grace of all things holy, we didn't run into any media outlets who were really trying to misconstrue our agenda. But you know, at many other protests I have seen, media has been out there and they have been trying to basically make things out to be what they're not. Just to give a small anecdote, I went to a protest literally like 2 weeks ago on behalf of Breonna Taylor, and media was out there. And when I went on the news the next night, it was like protesters were causing scuffles with, you know, people who were out in downtown eating lunch, eating dinner, when in all actuality, we didn't say anything to them. It was really just agitators who were, you know, yelling at us. And so media is a strong and powerful tool. They could reach more people than you yourself can. So they could really mess up what your main message is. So that's why it's important. It's like of the utmost importance that you are media prepped, because you never know what they could say about you on the other end. If you could go to the next slide, please. So, for tips to speaking to media, the first one would be, you know, set clear intentions. Again, like we've said before, some media outlets are not going to try to convey your message in the way that they want to, because they don't align with your values. So I would say, don't just pick up an interview just to pick up an interview. Make sure you're picking up an interview because you know that they're going to be able to get your message across. Just basically ask yourself, how will this, you know, interview advance our campaign, and how we'll be able to get us to where we want to be, and what will we achieve from this. So with us, we were basically just asking, like, you know, who can we reach through this? How will they and like, will this advance our campaign? With CBS 8, they were able to advance our campaign. That was one of the first interviews we had, which gained a lot of social media traction, which a lot of people had viewed that night, you know? And as a result, a lot of people had come out to our protest, because some people were just like, yeah, like, we watched your interview on CBS 8, and you guys plugged your Instagram, and Instagram was where you guys dropped the location details, period. We're gonna go out and go see you guys. They didn't even have that. Like, it's just like, media could really, really help you in the best way possible, but also in the worst way. So you have to be careful on who you reach out to, who you respond to, and who you allow to have your time. Sorry about that. And then 2, create a concise top line message. A top line message is basically, it's just, so sorry about that. A top line message is basically the main point that you want the reporter to get across. So if you are if you're in an interview and say the reporter only has like 10 minutes to talk to you, and you just know that that's not enough time to be able to get your whole entire point across, the top line message is going to be summarize exactly what you want. Our top line message for Defund School PD was, we need police out of schools. They are endangerment to Black and brown students on campus. Students do not feel safe. Therefore, get them out so that we're able to give Black and brown students the opportunities they need to be able to succeed. That goes straight in line with our mission and vision statement because they go hand in hand. Your top line message basically builds off of your mission and vision statement. Honestly, everything that you need will be from your mission and vision statement. So make sure you have a strong mission and vision so you're able to create your top line message, so you're able to create your pivoting statements, and so on and so forth. And then third one is create 3 subpoints. After your top line message, you should have 3 subpoints to back up your argument. These could be stats or stories. Okay, these could be stats or stories. And so you could, using statistics and using stories or personal anecdotes or anything like that could really add up and give you the best look possible. It makes people think that it makes people see that you know what you're actually doing, what you're actually talking about. And so being able to use stats and stories will really help back up your points. And then also use pivoting statements. The reporter may ask you something that does not, add up or does not apply to what you're doing. Like for us, that could be, the San Diego Unified School Superintendent, Cindy Martin. They could ask about her salary. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about her salary. We're talking about defunding school police. So we could say, hey, we're not able to talk about that right now. We don't know much about her salary, but what we can tell you about is that San Diego Unified School District funds the police this much money, so therefore it should be reallocated into here. So make sure that you use those details so you're able to really get your main message across. And also 5, speak in sound bites. Try to speak as short as possible and sentences that summarize what your main point is. I'm not saying don't speak at all, but the interviewer doesn't want to be there for like forever. So try to keep it under less than from 30 seconds to 45 seconds max. If you do go over, it's totally fine, but just make sure you're not taking up too much time, and always referring to your top line messages and your mission and vision so you're able to get your main point across. So yeah. So I wanted
time. I don't know if we can really do this. Maybe they can just do it in their breakouts afterward. Because yeah, we got a time check. We only have like 5 minutes left. So we're just gonna go to Anissa's point time, if that's okay.
Sorry about that. I was talking for forever, man.
No, you're good. Okay. So Trello.
Okay, we're gonna finally talk about project management and how this plays a really big impact on working and organizing. So we are gonna mention like a few of apps that we have used in our organization, as well as things that have helped with other people. So then Trello or like Slack or Discord and stuff like that, they help manage and organize things. So then you could put different, like as the image that's presented over there, it shows the different boards and different lists of things that we have to do. It gives a flexible way organizations could use and put their stuff, for example, putting meeting notes somewhere, as well as Nado mentioned earlier, she mentioned about having different like teams, as well like communication, media, etc. Those help share roles, therefore you get to finish stuff faster. And I also wanted to talk about the different apps like Venmo and Cash App. Like it helps fund donations, etc. Like for us, for example, we had our first protest and we used Venmo, and it was a flexible finance way for us to use and get donations from people on social media, as well as promoting it, so then we could get the funds that we needed for that protest. So we just also wanted to bring back different like things that you could use to communicate with your team members. And for us, we have used social platforms like Instagram, and this really helped us because it helps build communication, and it helps people build relationships inside that group. You don't always have to be professional and strict with each other and only about that organization. You could as well build friendships and like share things with each other that could be more in a positive environment. So basically we're just talking about how much project management really impacts organizing, and also sharing and networking with local organizations that could help promote and advise you in your organization and give you advice on what you guys need and which it's going to help you guys in future terms. So that's all.
Thank you so much, Anissa. Yeah, our group chat went crazy. Shadi came out with so many memes from that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's very helpful. Like we're all gonna like it makes us all feel comfortable with each other.
yes. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you all so much for listening to our presentation. That definitely went by a lot faster than we expected it to. I hope that y'all could take
it was gonna be so short, but we were talking for ages.
Literally. Okay. Yeah, I hope it was. Yeah, thank you so much in the chat. Y'all are so sweet. And I hope it was helpful. And we will definitely get you those slides, so you can like read them on your own terms. But yes.
Thank you for sharing your space with us. Thank you again.
Does anyone have any questions also?
Oh,
Social media?
I had a question.
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
What did you guys use?
I believe you're breaking up a little bit.
Make your slides because they look. Because it's not like asking what you guys use. Like it's not like a basic Google Doc. It's like really like I don't know how to explain it.
It is Canva, my love. I can actually show you the back end if y'all want. Yes, it's Canva.
also somebody mentioned about a recording. I don't know if this webinar.
I think someone needs to mute sound. There's a background noise. Whoever was trying to ask question, maybe you could put it on a chat box because you kind of broke.
Someone mentioned something about recording. If this was recorded.
Yes, it is being recorded. Well, we could make it available to you. There's so much great information. I think everybody wants it. So thank you. Any other questions?
Don't be shy, guys.
Don't be shy.
I have a question. This is Bia. Can you talk a little bit about how you talked about prepping for the media, for being in front of the media? How did you do that?
So I'll take that one because I was the one who presented on the slides. So what we basically had was actually it was someone from Mid-City Can, correct, India?
Yes, it was Edgar Ontiveros. Edgar doesn't work at Mid-City Can anymore, but they do media prep.
But yeah, so basically someone from a nonprofit here in San Diego basically had reached out and had asked us like if we were media prepped or if we wanted to get media prepped. And so we utilized him. We do also have a couple of docs that he sent over with like, questions about media preps and all that stuff that we could also include with the link that you guys, we'll send you guys with the slides. But basically he had just, it was a lot of role playing, which is one of the activities that I wanted you guys to do, but we ran out of time. But it was basically like role play where we had someone as like an interviewer and like the subjects, and just kind of like asking random questions, also asking like random questions so that we're able to practice pivoting statements and so on and so forth. So it was really just and that's what you'll get a lot when you have and also that's what you'll get a lot when you have a nonprofit organization, or if you have a grassroots organization and you're all active on social media, especially if you guys are youth, a lot of people will try to coalition plan with you. And so as a result, people will reach out and try to give you resources and all that good stuff. So you're able to have a really great moment because Mid-City Can knew that we would be getting a lot of media coverage. So they had reached out and said, hey, we want to help you guys. And so I just know that for a lot of you guys with the great organizations that you guys are going to create, you guys will be able to have people like that at your disposal as well. And all our emails are on file, so if you guys do need help, reach out to the great people who organize this, and we could also media prep you guys if necessary too.
Right, and then also as y'all are all connected to the California Endowment and the Women's Foundation of California, Those are both amazing resources to tap into. The California Endowment is also connected to Mid-City Can. That's part of the way that I knew Edgar. And then also to be again transparent in like the organizing that we did with Defund School Police SD is that I originally reached out to Edgar because I was like freaking out. I was like, we're trying to plan this protest. I don't know what to do. Like I've organized before, but never like in this same capacity. And so being able to reach out to local organizations who are similarly aligned in their missions and visions can be super helpful when you're getting off the ground.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. So can we all like unmute and give them a round of applause just for the very fantastic, just wonderful, wonderful presentation?